Hi everyone, this is Tim Derling and it's Tim's Vinyl Confessions. Sarah's with me once again and we are continuing our Fleetwood Mac deep dive series. This time we are on the 5th studio album from 1971, Future Games. And this album is a big turning point for Fleetwood Mac because it's the first album with Bob Welch in on guitar and vocals, the first American in this so far quintessentially British band.
I don't think I knew that.
So yeah, there was definitely a shift. We know we in the last deep dive episode we discussed Kiln House and how that was such an interesting album because you had Jeremy Spencer dominating the writing and the vocals, and it was kind of a lot of retro sounding songs. This is a new beginning for this band. It kind of.
Do you know whose kids are?
I'm not sure who those kids are on the cover. Like many of their album covers, it's kind of interesting. Not really sure.
Sorry to distract.
No, there are some credits inside of here. I don't have a remastered CD or anything. Sleeve design, John Pash. Cover photo, Sally Jesse, assuming not Raphael. Group photos, Edmund Shea. What's interesting about this album was self-produced by the band, engineered by Martin Rushent. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but he would become a huge producer for, I want to say, like Joy Division and New Order and groups like that. Maybe even Depeche Mode, but
Different genre altogether.
Yeah, and the saxes on here, as we kind of talked about previously, are by John Perfect, who's Christine McVie's brother.
When he says talked about it before, we had gone somewhere in the car and we were talking about this song.
This album, this particular album.
So it wasn't shared with
Yeah.
your audience. It
So
was
here's
an internal conversation.
Here's the band lineup as it exists on this album. So Christine McVie finally, as she should have been, credited as a full band member. And we also get the first of her vocal tracks on here. Another thing I find is interesting about this album, you've got the band photos, but John McVie chose to be represented by a penguin. So there is no...
Not everybody likes to have their photo taken, though.
He really likes penguins. And it also
Is he the one that likes penguins?
Yeah.
That's a known.
Yeah,
Okay.
He lived by a zoo or something in London. That's why they've always kind of used penguins for their... And I don't know, I don't have the original vinyl to this, but this does look like it came with it originally. It kind of gives an update on who's who in the band, how long they've been with the band, and sort of a history up to this point. So already we've got a band that's 3 years into their recording career, tons of personnel changes, tons of musical changes.
Tremendous. And I think the words I said to you the other day in the car when we were talking about this was, for me, this is like a complete sea change in terms of sound. And so the question based on the first song, I said, is this the first album with Bob Welch? And Tim's like, yes, which is 100% why there's such a distinctive...
And it's the beginning of a period that's...
It's a genre change, really.
Totally. But it's the beginning of a very overlooked period in their career, and a period that, as I researched, putting this together, The Sound That Haunts You, Beginner's Companion to Fleetwood Mac, I had to do some heavy listening. I always want to make sure I've got the albums down before I write chapters about them. I've got a whole new appreciation for the Bob Welch.
Well, you know right off the bat, though, like the first song on the album, Woman of a Thousand Years. It's very dreamy, it's very mellow, it's a soft rock.
Yeah.
As much of a move away from
blues. And yet this is a Danny Kirwan song and vocal, which is interesting because Bob Welch has that.
Wait, this is Danny singing?
Yeah.
And not...
That's right.
Okay.
Now,
I couldn't tell any of this from Apple Music, which is my...
So this is a Kirwan. Okay. It does sound like something that Bob Welch would write. And
it does.
It just kind of shows you that the band, I would say, was ready for a change. Probably because Kiln House was so retro and so not... It didn't sound like a band that was moving
Whoa.
forward.
No. It was
So,
very retrospective.
very retro. Even
And then the vocals and everything, like Spencer was very chameleon-like. I think you referenced in the last
he sang all kinds of different things on that album.
different stuff.
We won't get into it, but
Yes, we don't need to.
So this album is not that. This album is a little bit more.
I think it's more in line with what was to come. It's,
Yeah. It's still, you can still tell that it's early days, but you could put this album, you could play this album for someone who is only familiar with Fleetwood Mac from 75 on, and I don't think they would be completely in the weeds as to knowing that this was Fleetwood Mac.
What's distinctive for me is the second song on here is Morning Rain, which is the first Christine McVie songwriting credit. It's the first with her lead vocals.
Vocal. Yeah.
And to me, it is very distinctive. I think you can tell just with having her,
Yep.
ultimately, that it is Fleetwood Mac.
This is the first album with any of her vocals on it, so therefore,
But it's also her song.
This is the first album where you can hear, oh yeah, that sounds like Fleetwood Mac to me.
100%. And so it is, you get that Christine piano shuffle. It is very early 70s sounding, but the harmonies, the main vocal, it's all very Christine.
Yeah.
So to me, these are all hallmarks of
Yeah, the
Fleetwood Mac.
roots of the Fleetwood Mac sound that would take over the world is here already.
Yeah.
And that's why I have such a renewed respect for these Bob Welch albums, because, you know, some of these albums were certified gold and platinum years later, years after the fact, but you still don't, rarely do you hear songs from these albums. They don't get the radio play, and there's songs on all of these albums that should, and Morning Rain, I think, would be one of them. It's a
somebody could pick that up. I mean, again, you know that it's Fleetwood Mac.
yes.
Unmistakably so.
And it's Fleetwood Mac that you could play for someone without a caveat.
Yes,
You wouldn't
but
have to
why
say,
not
by
play-
the way, this is Fleetwood Mac. You'd be like,
You know.
oh, okay, it's Fleetwood Mac.
But why not play something like that rather than Songbird, which we've heard?
Yeah,
And heard and
landslide for 100 times, or yeah.
Yes.
But
I mean, not to take anything away from those.
no,
beautiful
it's
songs.
there are other
there's
songs, which is one of the reasons that I wanted to do this. The next song is interesting. It's called "What a Shame." It's an instrumental. That doesn't sound like an instrumental title. It sounds like
No.
it's something that was meant to have lyrics. But I mean,
Who wrote that one? Does it say?
that was actually I think this was a jam that got captured in studio, and I say that because the entire band is credited. So Bob Welch, Danny Kerwin, Christine and John McVie, and Mick Fleetwood are all credited on this song. So it sounds to me like a jam that they did. But this one also has John Perfect on blowing a little saxophone.
My comment was literally, "Is that a sax solo?" Question mark, question mark, question
Yeah.
mark, because I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not something that. No, you didn't get that in a lot of Fleetwood Mac songs.
No, I can't think of another.
Well, you
offhand.
got Tusk, which has an
Sure,
entire
but that's,
orchestra.
That's
but,
its own event.
yeah. And then we have the title song, and this right away, you get the whole Bob Welch
The feel.
MO,
Yeah.
motif right here. It's very dreamy. Even the guitar, it's echoed just right, and it's almost like a harp.
I was trying to find the words to describe. Like, I feel like because the guitar is so different on this album, I'm attributing that to Bob Welch, but I don't know enough to know if that's an accurate statement or
Well,
not.
either that, yeah, I think so. Whether it's him or whether it's Kerwin playing most of the guitar on this song, there was definitely a decision made in terms of guitars, amps, effects.
But it's a completely different style from, like, because Kerwin played on the last couple of albums, which were very blues oriented.
And he could play that. He could play that
Yes.
distorted electric guitar for blues rock, and yet here this sounds nothing. It's a long song. It's and I write it doesn't really need to be this long.
The harmonies are gorgeous, though.
Harmonies. It's a really cool song. you could have edited it down for a single, I think. Does have a catchy chorus. And if this song sounds familiar to people, apparently, and I've seen this movie, but it's been a long time, this song was played somewhere during Almost Famous.
Oh.
Which kind of makes sense, because I think that movie was set in 72 or 73. It was set in the early 70s anyway. So yeah, which is, I mean, that's Cameron Crowe being smart with his song choices too, right? Next up we have Sands of Time, which this one was apparently the only single released from this album, and this would not have been my choice for a single. I don't think it's a bad song. I wouldn't have picked this as a standout track.
Well, it's so mellow too, and to go from, like, I don't know what the last single would have been on. I don't released if there was.
I don't know what I don't know what I don't have that information right in front of me. What was released from?
But you know what I'm saying, though, to go from that album to this one, and you wouldn't. There's nothing to like. There's no through line.
No,
to say
for just for strictly radio listeners, yeah, they're it would be very
Fleetwood Mac.
But you know, I think DJs back then, you know, like FM DJs, did a pretty good job of saying who this was, who sang.
I know, but if you were a fan of the blues Fleetwood Mac,
yeah, it would have been quite a shock.
So right,
I'm just looking this up on Discogs because I am interested. July Judy, I guess, which I like. Tell me all the things you do. Okay, so yeah, so as you can see here, we've got Sands of Time, and then we've got a song that was from the Kiln House Sessions, but not on the album, Dragonfly. So yeah, it looks like Sands of Time was the lone single release from Future Games, which is interesting. I mean, like I said, it's not a bad song. It wouldn't have stood out as a single to me. Now, they did trim it down quite a bit. I guess the single release was 3 minutes and 4 seconds, where on the album it's 7:23. So they trimmed over half of it down, which kind of says that the song had made its point, you know? But yeah, it's pretty good. So next up we have Sometimes, the second Kerwin song in a row. This one gives me some Southern rock vibes. I wrote down, it kind of reminded me of the Allman Brothers.
Okay.
Particularly the guitar. Kerwin sings in falsetto on this, and I don't really think we've heard much of that. I actually think it's a little catchier than Sands of Time, but you know, I didn't get to pick the singles. I was not live, but we are getting some good variety on here. And when I say good variety, I mean just that good variety. It's an enjoyable listen. It's not schizophrenic.
No.
And it's not retro. There's no retro on here. This sounds, well, it sounds like it's titled Future Games. It sounds like they're looking ahead.
It's kind of like that. It is 70s easy listening, singer-songwriter.
Soft rock, yeah.
You know.
I mean, this is predating the Eagles, because their first album came out in 72.
But it wouldn't sound out of place. No,
it wouldn't.
Like on a radio station with the Eagles.
No, it definitely wouldn't. I'd be curious if there were FM stations, not necessarily top 40 stations, that just kind of said, well, we like this song and this song, we're going to play these songs. We're not necessarily going to play the songs that the label shipped them as
yeah, but that
recommended.
Then.
Yeah, it did. Next up is one of the rockier songs on here, Lay It All Down. I like this one. This is a Bob Welch song. You've said this before, but I hear some Rolling Stones on this one. It's just kind of a dirty, low down rock and roll song. It's really good.
Sounds really good in the car too.
Yeah, it's very catchy. It could have been a single too.
Yes, actually. And I feel similarly about this next one, the last one.
Which is Show Me a Smile, which is the second of the Christine songs on here. And like a lot of her songs from this period, this could fit on the 1975 album or on Rumors or Tusk, and it wouldn't sound that out of place. It is very 70s sounding, but this is just the way that she wrote.
Mm-hmm.
So what you get here is almost a new band, like sound-wise, you get almost a new band. You've got, really you've got 4/5 of the lineup that was on the last album. But what a change one member makes, bringing Bob Welch in, who was an accomplished
But it's not just Bob
singer-songwriter.
Welch. It's bringing, but Christine
as a vocalist,
and a songwriter, because she hadn't contributed songs prior.
Yeah.
And I mean, she would become one of the 3 main songwriters from the well-known.
Yeah, she was the
incarnation,
the ever-present, like, sort of, steady part of the band at that point. You could usually count on her for good songs, but she's doing it here. And I know that on the early albums you had Jeremy Spencer and then Peter Green and then Kerwin trading off vocals, but it's still 3 guys singing. You really get a taste of that Fleetwood Mac variety here, because you got 2 guys and 1 girl singing. So you're getting a taste of that variety that would come within each album. And I think it's really good. Now, this album peaked at 91 on Billboard and eventually certified gold. So this is one of those albums that people slowly went back and
had another listen to,
which is good. I like when that happens. Not all of these early albums, had that going for them. But there you go. Did
you show your 8-track?
Oh, well, yes, I did when we were talking about the cover. But if you take a look at the song,
Tim loves his 8-tracks, guys.
The song titles are all out of place on this, and they do that to make the 4 programs as equal in length as possible.
Ellie.
But yeah, this is a pretty old one on Ampex. That's not the label. That's the company that manufactures the tapes itself, because it's still on reprise. What I think is interesting is they kept the, so if you see Future Games 6465, that's the catalog number they used for years, because it's 6465 on here. It's just one of those things that I noticed. But so there you go.
The cats are having a love-in. It's driving Ellie crazy.
We love to have our pets take part. They've actually been pretty good. So there you go. That's our take on the Future Games album, the first of a new era for Fleetwood Mac, and it gets better. Like, the Bob Welch albums are really listenable, really good, and my opinion, I think the best of them is coming up next. But there's some good songs on all of them, and songs that could have been hits, should have been hits. So we're going to go through all of them, and don't forget, if you're interested in winning a Fleetwood Mac prize pack, which will consist of the upcoming Live 1975 CD, which is mainly songs from the self-titled album. There's one song, and I realized when it came out and I looked at it, one song that I missed, called I think it's called Get Like You Used to Be, but we'll talk about that when we talk about the self-titled album. So if you'd like to win that, and a copy of the Buckingham Nicks CD, and a copy of this, what I would ask anyone to do, doesn't cost you a thing, but write a review of this book, submit it to Amazon, and when they put it up, take a screenshot of it, send it to me, and you'll be entered in for a draw. We're going to make the draw on December 1st. So one grand prize winner is going to win the Live 1975 CD, the Buckingham Nicks CD, and a copy of this book. And then the 4 runners-up will get a copy of the new live CD. So good luck. And if you want to know more information about that, all you got to do is follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course here on YouTube. I've got a video talking about it. So that's Future Games. What do you think? What do you guys think about this album? We got any big fans of this one out here? I could see why somebody would call this one of their favorites. It's very good. It's very listenable. But I think the best is yet to come. And we'll get to it as we continue our Fleetwood Mac deep dive. Thank you so much for watching this edition of Tim's Final Confessions.